With a weak U.S. dollar, excellent opportunities abound for those ready to break out of their domestic comfort zones. Take your business to the global marketplace the right way by learning how to become an exporter. Joining us today from the NSBA Small Business Exporters Association, Susan Corrales-Diaz. Susan, welcome.
Thank you very much, Valerie. It's great to be with you.
So let's talk about the advantages of exporting. You're a big proponent of exporting. Why?
Well, it's a great opportunity to begin to diversify your revenue from just not your domestic markets in the United States, but outside the domestic markets. And what better time to do it than when the U.S. dollar makes it much more attractive for international buyers to be interested in buying U.S. product.
And I've heard you say that actually, that now is the time to lay that groundwork before the scales tip again.
Absolutely.
What's the growth rate of exporting right now out of the U.S.?
Well, people have recognized that this is an opportunity, and since last year, 2007, the exporting has increased in the United States by over 18%, which is a tremendous number, and it has been steadily increasing for the past few years as the dollar has been weaker, and it's made U.S. goods more attractive. But you need to do some things first before you get started. You may want to think about, am I ready to be able to support sales overseas? Do I have a product that's mature enough that I feel comfortable going outside the United States market and comfortable enough to train an operation overseas of representatives that could handle my product locally, so you wouldn't always have to be coming back to the United States? Because if you sort of enter it halfway and you really don't put the resources behind it and that time, you can also do yourself a lot of damage, because the world is very small in a sense in a country. California is the size of many of the countries you may be entering. So people know everyone. So it's very important that when you go out there, you're ready and that you are ready to support your product in that country.
Who would be good allies? How do I find these people?
Well, there's a number of ways you can do that. One way is to utilize the resources that the U.S. government offers through the Department of Commerce and the U.S. Commercial Service. They have an incredible program that they've developed over the years because the U.S. Commercial Service is part of the embassies within every country. So they have people on the ground that know what is going on in that country, who are the buyers, who are good agents. And they also have a domestic branch in the United States to work with the small businesses in the United States.
Right. Could you use an agent, say, in lieu of a manufacturing rep or a sales force overseas?
Yes, you could. And a lot of people start out with export management companies that may be domestically based, and they take your product on as part of the products that they sell into particular companies. So that is another tool that's available to you. You really need to look at, what are my different options? Do I want to sell directly to the buyers? Do I want to work through an agent? Do I want to basically use an export management company and let them handle all the sales and let them worry about all the issues associated with exporting? So you need to sort of pick and choose what's the best way to do this. But what the Department of Commerce can do is help introduce you to the in-country options that you have in terms of buyers, in terms of agents. Now, another good way, if you are using products or you work closely with vendors in the U.S., would be to ask them, who are you using as an agent in country? How are you doing it?
Right. So let's talk about how you actually get started. You talked about patents and copyrights being kind of the first thing to consider.
If you have any sort of intellectual property in the United States, you definitely want to take a look at that aspect when you go international, because you want to make sure that you have something that's defendable. But it's not necessarily the number one thing, but the more successful you are, I can almost assure you, the more successful you are,
the more potential conflict there will be down the road.
Exactly.
What are some of the things you've learned that you absolutely have to keep an eye on as you're executing your business?
The finances are a big part of it because a lot of the transactions that we're involved with, it's payment upon delivery. So you're talking about a great deal of time where there is no payment. So it may take 18 months, 24 months to ship a system and there's a lot of hardware involved, a lot of labor involved for putting the software together. So you need income in that time frame. You know, there are costs that you're incurring. So one of the greatest programs that the U.S. government has to support exporters is on the financial side. One of the best known programs is the Export-Import Bank.
Talk about the negotiation procedures. How does that go?
Every country is a little bit different. China is one of the toughest countries in terms of negotiations. And you really begin to understand this is where the cultural side of things come into play. You know, the U.S., we look at the world as a win-win situation. And in China, it's much more one-sided. But you begin to learn how you need to modify your negotiations accordingly.
How long generally does the process tend to take in terms of setting up an export deal?
Well, it can be very simple. It can be very slow. It can be a month. It can be a year.
Let's talk a little bit about technology and how that can help facilitate business overseas and exporting. What role does technology play?
I'll tell you, Valerie, things have changed so much from the time when we first started out and doing international business. The whole process of trying to get a proposal into a country.
Not to mention making the phone calls and the expense attached to that.
Every aspect of it. I mean, I'm talking ancient history now when faxes were, you know, some of the latest thing to do international business with. And so, you know, when you look at how far we've come, I mean, today we can work on proposals with our partners that are in country, and one group is working on it during the day while the other partner may be asleep, and they download what they worked on during the night to their partner overseas. Back and forth, you're working with material online, and it is so much easier. It is just every aspect of doing international business is easier. And that's another thing that small business can be equally effective with as large businesses because we all have access to this kind of technology.
What about building central repositories for documents online?
Oh, absolutely. Put that on your website and make it available to your customers. I mean, every aspect of this makes it so much more accessible to your overseas partners, your customers. There is so much technology that is available to you. Why not take advantage of it? And as a small business, it puts you on the same footing as the large guys.
Good information. Susan Corrales-Diaz, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much, Valerie.
And you'll find NSBA Small Business Exporters Association at sbea.org. And you can find Susan's corporation at systemsintegrated.com. This is BizWise TV.